What is a perfect day for you? For me, it's when the sun is shining, there's a slight breeze through the trees, I can hear the birds, the insects, not a sound of civilization. And so whatever your thing is, right? Whether it's rainy days in a pine forest, it's up being out on the ocean, it's in the desert, whatever your thing is, there's something about a perfect day or a perfect moment. There's something that is indescribable. It's like a bunch of ingredients that you put together and it just creates this thing that's much bigger than the sum of its parts. And I want to discuss that a little bit about your music. So when people create tracks in their studio, when you're working hard on your song and you're trying to bring it to life, whether you're working with an outside producer, you're doing it at home, we all follow the same sort of things, right? There's a technical part of this that we need to understand. We need to plug the cables into our interface to get a signal. We need to do certain things to make certain things happen. And there are a lot of other things in the world that depend on logic and methodology and technical things, right? You don't want a doctor improvising on you while they're operating. You want them to go based on hard facts. If you're an engineer designing something, you've got to use math. You've got to use these to get the tolerances where you need them. You can't sort of, guess what that's going to be or look for the aesthetic or the muse. To make it come to fruition is a purely technical exercise. Music is an art, and it has both of those aspects when you're a producer, when you're actually producing it. And the thing that makes a hit song, one that gets on radio, one that gets like millions of streams, the thing that really captures everyone's imagination, that stands out, that wins the Grammys, that does all of those things, those songs and those tracks are not that much different than millions of other tracks that were produced that year. The thing that makes it different in my 20 plus years of having produced records, managed to win some awards and get songs on, that went platinum and all of that, the one thing that really, when we would know when a song was really going to hit it big time, it was something we knew. Now, we didn't know it ahead of time. We only knew it when we saw it and we heard it. So sometimes what would happen is a band would bring in a bunch of songs and you'd sit around and you'd work these sort of songs out. And then I would kind of listen to, as they were playing them back and demoing them and doing pre-production and stuff, I'd be like, those are going to be the 3 singles. That's the way I would feel. But inevitably, there was always at least one song or maybe 2 that were sleeper songs that after the production process would turn out to be the actual single. It sometimes is like when you're producing, it's not like you're trying to guide what's happening, right? Like the engineer trying to come up and use certain sort of techniques to get something to do a certain thing. You would try, but often these songs sort of build themselves. Of course, you come up with the ideas yourself. You come up with these ideas and you try them and you experiment. And of course, you've got other minds in there doing that. And it always turns out a little bit different than you thought it would. There's something about the track that just builds itself. And at the end, when you are listening back to the final masters, maybe not the masters, but the final mixes before it goes to mastering, and you're sitting there, the thing that makes you know that it is amazing is that little part of us that understands what a perfect day is. It's that little part of us that knows that is beyond the intellect. It's beyond emotion. It's just this symmetry, this understanding of beauty when you see it. And so when you're working on your tracks and you're trying to get your song to, come out the way you want it, right? Always remember to follow the song too. Don't just try to shoehorn it into something that you think is great. Listen for the things that are happening that you might even be doing and you don't know you're doing that are beautiful, that have that symmetry, that have that thing that people can't put their finger on, but they say, that is perfection. There's going to be nuggets of that in the things that you do. So I'll give you an example. If you listen back to a recording of yourself playing live, for example, right? A lot of us, when we first hear that for the first time, we cringe. We're like, was I that pitchy? Was I that kind of like, I didn't realize I was singing like that. I don't even like the sound of my voice. The instrument, I was hitting that guitar kind of hard. There's all these things that come out when you first listen. But listen to it and listen through to the recording. And as you're listening, you're going to hear certain things that you did that you weren't aware of when you were doing them, that you think, ooh, that was good. I didn't, that was interesting. Oh, that sucked. Oh, wait, that's good. And so that's what I'm talking about when you're working on your tracks, is like follow the things that turn you on. Use your intellect. to guide your style and your genre. Don't just go off into left field and all of that stuff. You want to stick to what you do and what you're good at. But let the things come out of the song in the way that you identify with that part of yourself that I was just talking about. And that could have something to do with things like the tempo even, or the key. Maybe I should sing the song lower. Maybe I should sing it higher. Maybe it does sound better slower. It's got more emotion. It's kind of dragging. Figure out where it feels good and sounds good. No one's going to be able to tell you that. You're just going to have to feel for that. What it really comes down to is there's an old saying that big doors swing on small hinges. And it's the little things, it's the little perfections that make a track go from 95% of the way there to 100%. The hit song that you hear on the radio for the first time, you think, oh my gosh, that's going to be a hit. Or, it's getting played all the time. This is an amazing track. It's so ridiculously catchy. There's so many other songs out there that are getting produced with the same instruments, the same techniques. Like thousands of musicians are releasing songs all the time and that have all of the same elements. Yours stands out because of that magic, because of that thing. So always pay attention, pay close attention to that. Don't be afraid to rework things. Make sure that you are always thinking about, how can I improve this? Are there little tiny tweaks that I can make to make it even better, right? It could be adding a different hook in, it could be an arrangement. It could be like singing it slightly differently or affecting the vocal a little bit differently, maybe pulling something out. It could be a remix where you're just turning the voice up just a little bit more, There's all these little tiny changes that can have big effects. And so always pay attention to that and monitor that little part of you I'm talking about that knows the perfect day, that understands perfection and beauty. Just always be attuned to that. And when you feel it, when you are overwhelmed with what you've just done and you're so proud of yourself and you're like, my gosh, this is the best I've ever done. I just love listening to this. I can't stop listening to this. It's okay. You don't have to think of yourself as egotistical or anything. You should enjoy that you did something successful, and you should appreciate that, and you should share that with other people. And when you feel it, they're going to feel it. Now, not everyone. This isn't a please everybody game. This is pleasing the people who are drawn to you. So what does all this have to do with sync licensing? A music supervisor is going to hear your song and they're going to think, wow, I can really see a visual in this song. This would work perfect under the right circumstance. And it's that knowledge and that feeling that they get without even having tested it against anything, but they just know it's going to work. Your job is to create the very best recording you possibly can with that magic in there that is undeniable, that stands out from all of the songs that they listen to. Leave me a comment, let me know. I'll see you there, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.